Hey, everybody. Welcome to Digital Ascent, and thank you for tuning into our podcast today. We've got a show chock full of a bunch of cool stuff. We're going to try and talk about TLS deprecation, or sorry, basic auth deprecation for Exchange Online. We're going to talk a little bit about some heated discussions occurring in the Xbox world. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about how media is shifting. And we'll see what we think. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and run us through basic auth. What is that? What does that mean? Well, once upon a time, you could just go to a website like, outlook.com and log in with a username and a password. This is considered basic auth. It doesn't have any 2FA or anything like that. There's more stuff behind the scenes, but we're just going to keep this short. The big change here is that coming in December 2022, Microsoft's not allowing this anymore. And this probably won't affect a lot of people, if like in your home lives and things like that. But this could definitely affect your business. So if you are, if you're an IT admin and you're not really sure what I'm talking about, I recommend that you take a look at that. Microsoft's basically going to like pick it out of a hat about who to shut down at first type of thing. So maybe you'll get lucky, maybe you won't. Even if you do shut it down, you can, or even after they do shut it down, you can come back again and you can say you can do a one-time reactivation of that type of stuff. And the type of systems this is going to impact is like if you have a printer, everyone loves scan to email. If you're doing that through Office 365 and you've popped a username and a password in there, not anymore, you ain't. Not unless you got one of the special ones that can do multi-factor authentication. So, or I'm sorry, modern authentication is the actual tagline. There are some printers out there that can do that. So that's my spiel on that. It's definitely something you should be looking at. We'll include something in the show notes for you to review in more detail. And hopefully that's helpful. Anyone else want to jump in on this? I'm pretty sure this
Yeah,
is
I do.
definitely going to affect other people that are on
Yes,
this
it will.
right now. So I would like to hear
Yes.
your 2 cents.
So we have a really big environment, and a lot of that is scanned to email, and most of those reside on Office 365. Those accounts as like service accounts. And
Yep,
at
that's
this
it.
point,
No mas.
yeah, pretty much. Like no mas. That's it. And that's going to be a big problem because the print vulnerability nightmare, or print nightmare vulnerability, sorry, said that backwards. Horrible. It's been a nightmare for us for print management. So now you're just going to add another layer of complexity and difficulty to get around. I get why, but that's Microsoft always making life just a little bit harder for the admins.
I
Oh
believe this
man,
change is also killing off app passwords, isn't it?
Yeah, app passwords are definitely something I would expect to go. Unfortunately, I don't have the data in front of me right now, but from the big picture, if you're not seeing a prompt with the white box that says Microsoft and has the Microsoft logo, and then has asks you for your email, and then you hit next or whatever, and then you get a separate prompt for your password, and then hopefully, if you've been listening to the podcast, you have 2FA enabled, and you're going to have to go through that also. And that's the modern auth process. And if you're not seeing that occur for whatever you're doing, it's basically going to be done. I will say that you can, that after Microsoft pulls your name out of a hat, basically, and that's how they're going to do it. They're going to be randomly shutting people down. You can go turn it back on again one more time, and it'll help you. Then, in fact, we're even going to give you some tools to help you identify where are the problems, basically, and identify where the legacy stuff still is, and hopefully it'll help out. I will say once again, if you're in an admin position and you haven't been having these conversations, then you probably need to be having these conversations. And I guess that's my rant. That's what I gotta say about this. It's a big thing. It's a big change. This is how this is how it's been done for a long time, and so this is something new. It's something that is pushing the entire Microsoft ecosystem towards zero trust, And if that's a new terminology for you and you're an admin, I encourage you to go look that up a little bit also, or reach out to me directly on our Discord, and I'll be more than happy to share all of my knowledge about Zero Trust with you, and how I might, how you might be able to improve your networks and systems to support that. Cool. Now that's the end of my rant. All right. I think if
Jordy?
someone else has something, I think Jordy has something to say now about some deets, about some drama in the gaming universe. Let's hear
we're
about it,
gonna
brother.
we're gonna get some of the less important. I mean, man, it's hard to follow up after Matt. You know what I mean? I know this is all for fun and games here, but I mean, Matt coming here with the serious, heart to hearts. Listen
just
to the
dropping
man,
heat.
people. Yeah, he's dropping heat in here. All right, for free. All you got to do is tune
Super
in.
hot fire.
Absolutely.
It's free real estate.
You guys are so nice.
So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to talk to you guys about some real first world problem stuff. All right. So we're going to talk about some drama between Xbox and Sony. And maybe we're creating the drama by me just like coming in here and saying that, like we're going to talk about the drama, but like really this is like, I don't know what Jim Ryan was. I don't know what
just
angle
spill
he
the
had
tea.
here, okay?
Just spill the tea, bro.
So
Just go.
let's just start from the top, okay? So last week, okay. Actually, I'll pause right there and I'll just start from the beginning, right? So everybody is very aware Xbox is, they're buying Activision right now, and that acquisition is under review by all the powers that be. The big regulators around the world. I mean, this is big enough to have everybody. You know what I mean? Not just a U.S. Regulate. Everybody is reviewing this acquisition. So, Xbox is they're trying to be very open about what their intentions are for acquiring, a publisher as big as Activision, and they're trying to keep the light, in a positive hue. You know what I mean? Any wrong. I don't really know how these review processes work, but it seems like they can be swayed essentially by public, by how the public is feeling, how we're receiving everything. You know what I mean? What the public reputation is what I'm saying making sense so far? I feel like I'm not saying the right word, but I feel like I'm close to it. So I'm gonna move past this point here, okay?
I think you've nailed it, man. At the end of the day, the laws should ideally, like at the end of the day, the regulations are laws, and they're laws that should reflect what is in the public's best interest, and hopefully that aligns with what the public's desire is. And so I personally feel like it's important that regulators are keeping track. Gosh, it's weird to say this, but it's important that regulators are keeping a pulse on Twitter and Instagram, and hopefully not TikTok. Don't use TikTok.
Yeah, and it's weird that you say that, because it's like I don't want to get stuck on this for too long, but it's like there haven't been a whole lot of these acquisitions that one have been relevant to just regular people. And two, social media is big enough that like we can actually see these things happen in real time. You know what I mean? From the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that, Matt, like as these things continue to happen and as Microsoft and Xbox continue to make these big buyouts, you can see how they're trying to shift, the public view of themselves, of their, whatever acquisition they're trying to make, for better or worse, right? So in that same vein, right, Microsoft released some information last week just saying, hey, like we offered, we signed a contract with Sony, or we offered to uphold their current contractual agreements that they had standing with Activision already, and we're going to not only uphold the original contract, but we're going to uphold that contract, for a handful of years after. I think up to 3 years after, that contract's original expiry date. Okay, now that's not the drama piece here. Okay, you'd think you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, cool. Now they haven't gone into details of what that means. They haven't gone into details. Like I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but the links to these articles will be in the show notes. And the big catch here is, Jim Ryan is not happy about it. And you can definitely tell this is where like the social media's, play, I think, or where it comes into play, right? So Jim Ryan comes out and he says, "Look, I wasn't looking to make a big deal about this, but this is just completely unacceptable. Like what Phil Spencer offered, you know what I mean? What he offered doesn't reflect the relationship that we've had with PlayStation over the last 20 years, and we're just not happy about it. We're pretty disappointed, essentially, right? So the big discourse that's going on in the gaming community right now is there are a lot of people that are upset. And I've got some statistics here for us, just really quick, some quick percentages of like, I didn't realize how closely tied Sony and Activision were, or even that they had, you know, a long-standing relationship with Activision like that. For me, I'm thinking maybe it's the last 10 years, but if you go back and looking at some of these statistics here, you can see why I think Sony is making a big deal about this. They're about to lose a lot of money. And that is an assumption, right?
Surprise.
Assuming that, you know, assuming that Xbox, you know, spends $70 billion on this developer, and somewhere down the line, you know, they're potentially thinking about making this series console exclusive, which definitely could happen. But nobody knows right now because Xbox is telling us one thing, and you know, Sony, Jim Ryan, these guys are freaking out. Like, are we about to lose a massive cut of revenue? Right. So let me just read through these statistics.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
No.
I
I can pause here.
Yeah, pause here for a second because I have some questions.
Okay, let me pause.
So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me though, because
Okay.
Activision and Microsoft are you know, merging, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about they're merging, which means that they'll receive some of the profits from that merger, right? Whatever they pull going forward. You're talking about a whole player base that's not being excluded from online purchases and all sorts of stuff down the line, right?
I don't know
Absolutely.
about that.
And
It's
we'll
a player
see.
base that's just going to buy Microsoft equipment instead of Sony equipment.
Here's
Maybe for Call of Duty.
Dude, here's where things
Yeah.
get a little juicy, okay? And it's exactly the thing that you're talking about right here, Sean, okay? This is the golden, like, question, right? Like, this is what everybody's kind of thinking. Like, hey, Xbox, if you take Call of Duty off of PlayStation, especially knowing these numbers I'm about to give you all right now, you take Call of Duty off of PlayStation, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, the amount of money.
That's what
I mean, Call of Duty
thought.
makes billions of dollars a year in
Yeah.
microtransactions alone. I've given y'all this rant 1,000,001 times, and I'm sure I've done it on this podcast already, so I'm not going to get into it, but they make a lot of money. There's not another series in brand or just like longevity that has been at the same levels that Call of Duty has. You know what I mean? So there's a lot more that comes with that. So, you know, that's the question everybody is asking. And I think that's what, you know, Xbox is trying to, Phil Spencer's already come out and said, hey, look, I don't need to make this a console exclusive to get our money back. Like, I need to let y'all know that, you know what I mean? Like, we could do whatever we want. We'll talk about that in the future. So let me give you these percentages really quick, and then we can go from there. So for the year of 2020, Sony accounted for 17% of Activision Blizzard's total net revenue for the entire year, which totaled out to $1.3 billion. And just a little more than that, okay? But that was coming just from Sony. From my understanding of this article, and again, this will be linked in the show notes, this is just from like company to company. So a good example of this would be like, you know, Sony buying, famously, the last couple Call of Duties that have come out, Sony has bought exclusive, you know, timed exclusivity for some of the modes in Call of Duty. So for the first year, for the last 3 Call of Duties, if you weren't on PlayStation, you were getting 60% of the game because
What?
Sony, PlayStation had bought out those other modes. Now, granted, they weren't great, you know, they weren't anything to write home about, the modes, but that's not the point. It's the principle. So stuff like that. We're talking about, you know, again, mainly timed exclusivity stuff, the marketing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? PlayStation's going to go do a showcase. They're going to reveal Call of Duty there. That's what they're, you know, that's what's coming out of that, right? That's not even, to me, this isn't even the craziest number. The other crazy number here is that out of all of the Warzone players 41% of those players are coming from PlayStation. They're either playing on a PS4 or a PS5. So
that's what I'm
when you think
saying.
about, you know what I mean? Exactly the question that we're talking about here, Sean. And just all of the other things that we're kind of talking about or not talking about that we're kind of putting on the table here. There's a lot of nuance to this. You know, Xbox can they can go either way. They can say, hey, we're going to go exclusive. We're not going to go exclusive, and it's not going to matter to them. PlayStation's going to be the one that may kind of take the L for this. And I think the big question here is, what do they do if that happens? Do they counter with their own FPS? Do they try to get Game Pass on their console? What does that look like? But that's the end of my spiel. That's it. Just wanted to put that in front of you. You guys and our listeners, you guys can take that, think about it. Let us know what you're thinking in the Discord.
Come
I'll be
talk
ready
to us.
to get the console war spun up.
Oh, geez.
Man, what a mess.
Yeah, what a mess.
Giant mess.
Okay.
Seriously, what a mess.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to main topic here. So, good job to both of you. Actually, I have so much more that I want to say, but for the sake of brevity, we're going to move forward.
For sure.
Yeah. So, physical media. That is what we're going to be going for here today, and I have some pretty strong opinions. I've already expressed some of them in one of the podcasts that we did on, digital rights management and some other things. But for the start, let's kind of define the realm. I'm going to keep it kind of limited here, but I want to define what we're talking about as far as physical media goes. So you're talking about CDs, vinyl, cassettes, iPods, books, DVDs, basically like during the 80s, 90s, and actually for some of these even before, they physical things in your hands that you purchased and you own them and you took them home and you listened to them or you watched them, and why some of those things are lingering around longer than you would think. So I want to play a game really quick. All right. So we're going to play a guessing game. I'm going to list one of the types of physical media, and I want you to tell me when you think that it was first released. Like,
I'm so down. Okay.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
do
Okay.
it.
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right. All right. So let's go ahead and start. So let's do CDs. When do you think they first started coming around?
Ooh, that's
I'm gonna go compact disc 1988.
Okay. Jordy?
I'm gonna say 19. I think 88 is too late. I'm gonna say shoot, man. I'm gonna say
You are
82.
the youngest out of
That's my
us, so
year.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah,
You said
I'm
when?
gonna say
Sorry?
82. I want to say 70s, but 82 I think is gonna be my. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I don't know that
Okay.
number. That year's calling to me.
Okay. Brent?
And so we're talking about CDs specifically, right? We're not talking about
CDs.
laser
Yep.
discs.
We're going to go through each
None
one.
of
Nope,
that.
we're CDs.
Yeah, we're talking about the small form factor.
And I'm gonna go with a nice round number, 1990.
Okay. So Jordy got it. It's 1982.
Oh
on the
my
dot.
God!
Yeah.
Oh, son. Hey,
You
look.
did.
Hey,
Dude, you
Brett, I
said
don't
it,
want to
I'm
hear
like,
no more
whoa.
jokes at work. I don't want to hear nothing. All right? I don't want to hear nothing.
That's good.
Oh,
That's
geez.
good.
Hey, good job, Jordy. Dang, on the nose. Okay, so
Hey,
Yeah,
let's
well done.
do. Let's move on. So, vinyl records. This is
Shoot,
this is
I'll
a tricky
go.
one.
I'll go 1968. I'm not good at this. I'm just guessing random dates at this point. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm going to
That's the
say
point.
1957. That's Jordy's answer. 1957.
Oof. I might be
Okay.
wrong.
I'm gonna say 1938.
Ooh, you guys were like tickling around it. You all had 8 in it. That's crazy. It's 1948.
Oh wow.
Dang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys. Yeah, you
Almost
all
a
kind of had it
century
around
ago.
there, as far as the 8 was concerned. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right.
Thanks, Sean.
So this, I'm curious what the swing is on this one. So cassettes, like cassette tapes.
1978.
Come on, man.
I'm gonna
I
say
don't know, man. I guess it can't be. It can't be. I'm gonna stay with it though.
Okay.
Wrong as
19. I'm gonna say 87 on this one.
Ooh,
Say
okay.
87.
Cassette tapes. I don't know, man. I'm gonna say maybe like mid to late 60s. Let's just say 1965, 66.
Oh man. Okay, Brent, you were so close, dude. It was 1962. You were.
Oh,
you were
man.
a few years
Cassette
off.
tapes are
Good
that
job.
old?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tapes, my man.
Bro, what?
All right, so
Rigged.
let's do DVDs.
2002.
1998.
Oof. I'm gonna
That's a good
say
answer.
96.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Can I change mine? I'm gonna say. I
No,
want to say.
no. You said 2002, sucker. That's what you got.
Damn it. Okay. All right. I'll take 2002. I'm okay with that one. I think I might be in the window still.
Wait. Hold on. So,
The window
It
of
was-
wrongness.
Brent, what did you say? You said
I said 96.
96. Matt, you said,
98. I like the mates tonight. Apparently.
man, you guys. So again, Brent clutched it. It's 1995 by just a smidge.
I figured it was
smidge.
mid 90s.
You know what's
that was
crazy
close.
is in
That
my
was
mind.
close.
Here's why I wanted to change my answer just really quick. Is I remember like seeing the commercials start for DVDs or like when they got popular was somewhere between like 2003 2004, and so I was really confident that that answer would work. However, that's when the consumers got it. You know what I mean? If
Yeah,
we
that's when
had it,
yeah.
it definitely means that it was in commercial use in some way, shape, or form before it got to us. And I feel like that's a
Right.
safe assumption. And that's how I knew I was wrong. Thanks for coming to my
All
TED
right.
Talk.
Jordy's TED Talk.
That's good
Okay,
TED
so
Talk.
here's
I
the
like it.
yeah. Here's the last one. I'm not going to do books because they've been around for forever, like Gutenberg Press and all that. So who cares, right? But this last one I thought would be a lot of fun. So iPods, because that's technically physical media.
2008.
I don't actually agree
Wait,
with you on
no.
the iPod physical media thing, but I'm gonna go 2000.
You hold it in your hand, right? And you had to burn
yeah,
the
but it's-
CDs to
I'm-
get the
we
music
can-
on there.
I mean, man, but what are you loading on there? You're loading on their digital tracks that you purchase through stuff like that. It's not like
CDs.
I mean,
CDs. You purchase CDs to burn them on there.
man, but you own the CD.
Yeah, if an iPod counts, then we got to throw like Game Boys and PSPs in here too.
Okay, I guess
And-
that's fair. That's fair.
well,
so this is what
I would
all
argue
right,
that-
All right.
Okay,
Here,
all right.
I just wanted to put. I put it in here for fun. All right, we'll come back to
2003.
this. Okay.
I want to.
I'm
I
gonna
want to
say
say
2000.
2000.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
Brent's
going to change
2000.
my answer here.
No, you can't change your answer. You.
I didn't
You're
even hear
I
his
know
answer,
wrong.
so-
He didn't hear the answer, so that's I knew. You know what? I'll take the L. Matt's right. I'll take the L.
I
That's
would
fair.
I would argue though, back to that original statement, the initial release of the iPod was when the process was more, let me rip my CD to this device. Now I can carry 300
Right.
CDs with me, and not iTunes. iTunes took a while to like come to fruition and people like actually grasp, oh man, I'm spending $1.99 per track now or whatever it came
Yeah,
out as. You know what I
exactly.
mean? So anyways,
We'll have that conversation in a minute. But so Brent said what? Brent said 2000. Matt
2000,
said
I think it was 2002 or whatever.
okay.
Matt said
That's the
3.
answer I
Matt's
want.
was 2003.
Well, fine.
And your answer was
2003.
2000.
Mine was 2008, Sean.
Oh, okay.
Mine was terrible, and 2000 and
Jordy.
wrong is what I should have said. All right, don't even talk to me right now.
2000 and
Talk to
late.
Brent and Matt.
Yeah. Right. Shoot, dog. All right, Sean. What's the real number?
By the slimmest margin, Brent, it's 2001.
yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Brent's a cheater.
2001.
That's the
yeah.
problem.
You were really
If I
close.
was a
Brent.
cheater, I'd have it
You were
on the
really
nose.
close.
What are you talking about?
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
gave,
you're just throwing our scent off the trail. You saw us all blowing it, and you were like, I'll just pretend."
Never.
Oh no. Okay, so yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Like you think about that time
is.
gap between those types of medias, right? It's kind of weird to think about. And man, I don't know. It blew my mind, some of these, for sure. But
Some
all
of
right,
these
so
make
let's
me feel a little old. I just wanted to throw that out. And I'm the youngest
Sure.
person here, I think. So
Wow, thanks.
I feel a
Shorty.
little uncomfortable, Sean. Thanks.
Yeah, well, look, man, I just put a little something in there for all. I'm not trying to be ageist, man. I'm just trying to include everybody. You know what I mean?
Hey, I feel you. I just had to let you know how I was feeling, you know?
Yeah,
What else you got
okay.
for us?
Okay, so it's now we're kind of moving into more statistics as far as the individual pieces of media here, but so I thought I'd start with vinyl, and it's interesting because most of the statistics I pulled were from 2021, right? Because it's the last piece of full data that we have. But so 2021 was like $1 billion, or sorry, 1 billion units for vinyl, and then making up like 6.9% of the total market. Like, it was big and has been growing pretty consistently over the last few years, which is interesting, which is wild to me. And it's still growing. And this doesn't even include, let's say, resell values for vinyls, right? You're talking about like current artists releasing vinyls for their music, merch stores, that type of stuff was with these
Yeah,
statistics.
and the used market for hi-fi, old school hi-fi equipment to play it too.
Yes, sir.
Which has made a huge comeback.
Yeah, man. So I think there was another statistic was talking about like I think around 55% of people own records of some sort, and it was actually the 18 to I want to say 30 something year olds. I don't know
That makes
why
a lot of sense.
that actually listen to them. That actually listen to vinyls. So it's like this weird shift of retro nostalgia that we really don't even have.
It's a hipster thing.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's
that
what it
we
is.
Would go back to vinyl.
And I don't know. I think I know out of my wife and I have a couple vinyl records. I'm a collector though, so we don't necessarily enjoy listening to vinyl music.
I was about to ask. So
I-
how often do you say that you would listen to those?
Bro,
pieces of
I've
vinyl
listened
music?
to those out of like we have probably somewhere between 5 to 8 records. I got a couple like video game soundtracks, and then there's a couple, like actual albums from another artist that my wife and I both like. And I've probably listened or used the vinyl player that we have twice. And in the 5+ years that we've had those records, it was more of just like I want these because I really like this artist. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how
Support.
to. I don't know. I just want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to support 'em.
Want to collect it? Yeah.
So for instance, last year I really wanted a cassette. Like, it was an all-in-one player, right? So it's vinyl player, CD player, FM, AM radio, and then it's a cassette player as well. And it has aux in as well. And dude, I have, let's think, I have quite a few records ranging from classical to jazz fusion to weird rock. I mean, and I'll probably listen a few times a month. But I mean, that's pretty infrequent. So, but I still have a bunch of vinyl. I still go buy vinyl. I still really like vinyl.
What situations are you listening to? Is it after you get off work and you pour yourself a glass of your best drink?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like weekends, if I'm in the mood for like a particular album, whatever, I'll come home after work. It'll be a weekend, relax a little bit, and I'll just put on an album, listen to it front to back. And it does provide, so like, and this is something that I think Brent can kind of speak to as well, but the audio difference is, man, it's different when you listen to vinyl consistently versus digital.
Yes, absolutely.
You guys can actually hear the difference. Like I don't own a vinyl player. I don't know if I've ever heard a vinyl record IRL.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, man, I've just been I grew up with digital media, and I mean, I guess I had cassette tapes. I guess technically cassette tapes are analog, not digital. At least I believe that's how they would be described. So I don't really know anything about vinyls other than it costs a lot of money to buy in, basically, and then you got to
It does.
collect the stuff. And
Or it did.
yeah, it did. Yeah, and I mean, I know there's cheaper options now, but and then you got to collect the darn vinyls, which are breakable and take up space.
Yo,
and,
you know what,
like,
Matt?
it's
What I'm
just
about to
like
say is maybe
I don't know.
what I'm about to say is maybe controversial. I don't think you're missing out on much, man. Like I would, I
Oh, come on. All right.
I get the
All right.
nostalgia piece. No. And this is look. I'm not trying to throw nobody under the bus, right? I appreciate it, right? Like one of the vinyls that I have is like the Fallout 4 soundtrack, right? Like this is on some real nerd stuff, but that is perfect on vinyl. Like the sound that vinyl has is perfect for that soundtrack, right? But in all honesty, Matt, like you said, you grew up in digital media. This is the equivalent of playing, growing up with all of the Call of Duty games, and then your grandpa coming out and saying, "Hey, here, son, play Half-Life 2.
Easy.
Tell me how great it is." And he's not going to understand
that was a
it.
great game.
It was a great game, but what I'm saying here is that,
still is a
Call
great
of
game.
Duty, it's an FPS, by the time you go, I'm going to talk about this for 15 minutes, so I'm going to just cut myself off. I'm going to just
Here's the big shift though. For one, like in your
I don't
case,
appreciate your Half-Life slight. Sorry, can we talk more about that?
in your case, Jordy, you like it's all about the equipment when it comes to vinyl. So
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet, and this is just making an assumption. You can correct me if I'm
this
wrong.
is a fair point. No, go
But
ahead.
your
lay it
player
on me.
probably is not super hi-fi stuff. It's probably
Absolutely not.
it's not tube based. I seriously doubt. So on the tech side of this, records are actually they have a lower noise floor, and because of that, the difference between the high and the lows is much shorter than it is with digital media. Digital media is actually compressed because it's written
sir.
so loud to the track, so it's hot. It's constantly hot, and because of that, everything compresses it. On vinyl, it's not. And so you're getting the full richness, the full dynamic range. Records to this day are still mastered at a higher dynamic range than any digital media.
Yep.
What
Any of
about like lossless codecs and stuff?
Yes.
And for those who don't, for
Yep.
people who don't like listen to a lot of music, or know a lot about that stuff, my understanding of a lossless codec is, well, I guess a codec is it's a set of instructions of how to like interpret the digital media into, ears, or noise waves, sound waves. There we go. Interpret the digital media into sound waves. And my understanding of that, the lossless codecs, is that you're able to, I don't know, bypass some of that BS, basically, at that word of that compression that you described. Now, I don't know a bunch, and so I could be wrong on some of these points. I'd be very interested in hearing from you guys.
It
Please
certainly
educate
helps, but you have to, when it comes to that, when you're pumping lossless through a digital system, so through a computer, let's say, from
My computer
front to
compresses
back or
anyways.
from top to bottom, you have to have like lossless capable equipment. That's the sound card. That's, the headphones or whatever mixture you've got it running
All the
through,
way
so
through.
on and so forth. So somewhere through there, something's going to be compressing that to 24-bit, 192, whatever.
It's like jumbo
And
frames,
You're
man.
killing your lossless. Yeah.
Is my standard motherboard that costs $150 or whatever going to support lossless, or do I need to go buy an additional $50 or $150 audio card for something like that?
True
And then-
lossless, probably not.
Yeah,
okay,
I was gonna
and
say.
then so I have the Bear Dynamic 770s. Are those things going to support lossless? Brent, I think you have some also. So maybe you
Capable
actually
of
know
it,
that.
absolutely. You just
They
got
are
to hook them
capable,
into the
so-
right source. Yep.
All right, so if I want that, if I want to get the lossless, and maybe I do want that lossless goodness, I definitely appreciate. Every time I've upgraded my headphones from a cheaper version to a more expensive version, I've always been really pleased, and I've always found more, basically, to some degree or another. And now I'm like, well, maybe if I get a graphics card, or sorry, an audio card, but then I guess I'm listening from Spotify, and I doubt they're delivering lossless to me. So maybe that'd be a poor investment.
This is the reason why there's services out there that literally have higher tiered,
Oh, I would need to, I would need to
premium
go
plans.
purchase. I would need a
Yep.
specialized service for this because and what I understand, Spotify is probably not actually going to provide me their high quality. Isn't the audios that
No.
they're providing me is not lossless quality audio.
I don't believe so. No, sir.
Man,
Not that
now
I'm
that I'm
aware of.
clicking through it, back in the days when I was, because I held out from streaming media for a long time, and I decided that I'll just purchase my own media and load up my phone and do this, that, whatever, yada, 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 yada. And, I remember once I started getting my hands on FLAC lossless, that the size required to house an entire CD was much larger. It was no longer
Yeah.
like a couple hundred megabytes. Suddenly it was like 600, 700. It actually consumed a full CD instead of like, man, I remember back in the old days when you could do multiple, when you would do multiple albums on a single CD for a CD player, and you could slam like, you trim them suckers up a little bit, convert down to a Lossier codec. I don't know if that's the official term, and then you could get
Lossier.
8 C. Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess you say crappier, but you could stick 8, 10 CDs on a single CD, and with those lossless codecs, the math just don't check, basically.
Yeah.
Just my 2 cents on all that.
So, Jordy, back to your point. You are missing things, but it's whether or not you care. So for me,
Fair point.
when I sit down and I listen to, jazz or jazz fusion, I want to hear all the parts. I want to hear all the
there's a lot
nuance.
there.
I want everything. But I also have a system that allows me to hear that. Because that's something I really want.
Yeah, I'll admit there was a little bit of ignorance on my side. How terrible of me to assume my $60 little record player from Target was given the same experience, or you know what I'm saying?
And mine's
that
not even the
is-
best. So don't take this the wrong way. Like I could spend gobs and gobs of money to make it
For
just
sure.
like sing and shine, but it's interesting because there are some audiophiles that really dig on the vinyl. And so it's just interesting that is still part of the market space, right? Like, so for instance, cassettes, not there. Like they don't make cassettes anymore as far as I could find. I could be wrong. I'll always put that caveat there, but there's no new cassettes being made as far as like music is going. Nobody wants to spend the time, money, effort, whatever. It's
Got to get those suckers from the flea market.
Right. You go to, like, we have a place here called McKay's, and it's a reseller of a bunch of stuff, including cassettes, 8 tracks, all that stuff, vinyl. But their vinyl section, way bigger than their cassettes. Like, there's a little corner relegated for cassettes, and the like whole top floor is vinyl. You know what I mean? So
That is
it's
crazy
still going
that
strong.
now that you point that out, dude, because if I go to like any bookstore that I go, any place that I can think of right now that has vinyls, they're not selling cassette tapes. You
Nope.
know what I mean? Like they're not, and if they are, it's in some small little cubby area. I couldn't.
Yep.
I don't even know where I'd go to buy a cassette tape right now. I could think of like 6 different
eBay.
places to go buy vinyls, though. That's fair.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Flea market,
physical
seriously.
stores, though.
No, Matt
Okay,
is correct.
well,
Flea
yeah.
markets are pretty rife with them. Okay, so moving on. That's vinyl. It's just pretty interesting to me. So let's go to CDs really quick. So the peak for CDs was the year 2000. That was like peak sales. I think it was almost 1 billion CD albums were shipped in the U.S. that
Wow.
year. Was what it was saying. In 2022, or 2021, there was $584 million in revenue based off of CDs. That's pretty impressive. That's half a billion.
Is that number adjusted for inflation? I'd be curious to see what that number would be in today's.
I'd have to go look back and look. I didn't think about
No
that.
problem. Yeah, no problem. Let me see if I can find something real quick.
That is a good. Yeah, see if you can find it actually, because I didn't think about that at all. Man, slip up on my part. Sorry.
Wow, Sean, so disappointed or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah.
just trash. But while Jordy's looking, so CDs, man, CDs are kind of near and dear to my heart because that was like, for me growing up, that was it. Like going to Walmart, going to a CD record store with my dad, and or like Circuit City or somewhere, and just there being stacks and stacks of CDs, and you flip through them, and you're like, oh my gosh, I found the newest Weird Al album. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go pop it in, Or, for instance, my dad came home. He was the one who actually got me into heavy metal, and he brought home Awake, which is an album by Dream Theater, and I still have that CD, and I still play it. Like I have a collection of CDs that I will not part with because I don't want to lose it or lose access to it. And just being blown away, like the album art, right? The little sleeve that came in the case, and you'd flip it open and look at all the art and lyrics and stuff.
It used to have lyrics. Yeah, once upon a time, it actually had all the lyrics and stuff in there.
Yeah,
man.
You guys remember the catalogs? What was it? It was like Columbia House. Like you would get like a mailer from like Columbia House, and you could buy it through the mail and just get shipped a bunch of stuff for X amount of money. I remember getting those.
That's nowhere near as much fun as doing the flipping through thing. I definitely remember that. I feel like, man, I had one of those big CD cases that could hold like 200 plus or 360 CDs with like
I've got
4
one right now.
CDs per sleeve, back and forth. Man,
it's like terrible faux leather. It's like faded and ripped and stuff.
Man, I
remember
wonder
the car visor holders.
Oh, dude, yeah, they had the little elastic.
The sun visor.
Around it. Yeah,
you go around the corner going like 65 miles an hour, and the CDs come flying out and start hitting the
window. I remember, man, I made a big point to burn all my CDs I burn all my CDs to like my mega CDs, basically, right? I condense all my rock into like my rock CD. So I remember like going through all my CDs on, the high school bus going to or from games, going, which one of these 12 CDs has this one album that I want? So I don't have to
label
flip through them all.
With a Sharpie or something? That's what we did. We'd always take the label with a Sharpie.
Bro, have you seen my handwriting? It's not very conducive to a medium where I had to shrink it down. It's not good.
Yeah, sure.
Did you guys have the Sunny Discmans?
Yeah, buddy.
Yes, yep,
that's
sure
what
did.
I had with that sweet anti-skip technology.
Dude, yes. I'll never forget when I got the CD player that wouldn't skip. Man. It wouldn't bounce. It just sat there and just played the whole way through. I walked up and down my driveway because it was gravel and it would always bounce. So when I walked up and down, it blew my mind that it didn't skip. Holy
So real quick, I got some numbers for us on CDs, just really, really quick.
Okay.
Let's see. CDs actually peaked, just like Sean said. They peaked in 2000, coming in at $13.2 billion. I mean, it was the music industry's leading format. All right, in the 1990s, peaking at 2000. There's at this specific article that I'm looking at right now. This is for 2011 to 2021, so they don't mention anything after 2000. But the name of the article is, "Hey, CD sales have grown this last year for the first time since 2004." And the number here, last year they came in and. Yeah, for CD sales, 584 million. That's the number Sean gave us. And yeah, I guess that format has been in decline. I'm looking at it right now since 2011. They capped out at 3 billion in 2011, and they've declined until 2020. Until last year. And then now we're on the up again. So, that's pretty interesting, man. That's more crazy stuff.
It's wild, right? So you look at vinyl, you look at CDs, and you're like, dude, why? Why is it coming back? My personal opinion is, dude, there are some things that, again, the audio quality I want, but really there is something magical about having it in your hand and playing it. Right?
Full
like, so for
man.
instance, with vinyl, right? They came in sleeves. So perfect example. There's a band called Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They're fusiony, like 70s progressive rock, right? They have an album called Brain Salad Surgery, and it came in this foldable cover, vinyl cover, and when you opened it up, it turned from a woman to a skull. And you'd flip it, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you flip it open, and there's lyrics on the side, and there's tracks, and then like you open it up, and you slide the vinyl out, and you take it, and you set it on, and you put the needle, like the whole experience itself is just magical. And I don't get that when I just go click a playlist and hit shuffle.
You know what's funny about what you're saying, man, is when gamers had the ability on this, not this last generation, but the generation prior, to like actually buy games digitally, and have like, there was no holds barred, right? Like I remember thinking about that and being like, man, no, I need to physically hold the disc. And then I shifted away from that, right? So for the last X amount of years, majority of my stuff has been bought digitally. And now I'm getting to the point again where I'm like, dude, I miss holding, you know what I miss holding them. You know what I mean? So,
yes, sir.
I'm like kind of getting back into that a little tiny bit. So it doesn't make me, the leading scientist or data analyst on everything that we've talked about so far. But boy, do I understand the trend and why it comes back, right? It's that something new comes along and you pick that up and you say, you know what? After so long, after exposure, right? It's like it's not the same. Let me go back to the OG. Let me go back to the OG experience, whatever that is for you, at whatever generation level. That's the human experience. It's crazy, man. It's a little.
I don't know, man. I don't know how to describe it, but everyone knows what we're talking about, right? Like everybody knows that when you have that, I don't know if it's nostalgia by itself, like because there are some redeeming qualities about the thing, but is it that golden age looking backwards, going, oh, I remember when we had peanut butter for the first time, Is it that, or is it the physicality of it? I don't know.
Man, I would argue it's probably a little bit of both, man. I mean, there's we just
fair.
talked about I shouldn't say that. We've talked about, what does it mean to be licensed for a game versus own a game? And there's a big difference between saying, I went to Steam and I bought Half-Life 2, which is a great game, Jordy, just saying, and then saying, well, I have this CD that has Half-Life 2 on it. Right. And because Steam goes belly up, Half-Life 2's gone. I mean, the same thing right now. I license through Spotify. There are a couple of other areas where I've licensed music here, there, or wherever. And man, those services go belly up. My purchases are dead. I will also say that at the same time, I have also, there's a couple of producers that I particularly like, and I have went out and sought and purchased the actual tracks via MP3. I mean, to me, it's do I wish I had gotten a CD instead? Not if it was going to cost me $3 more and then plus $5 more in shipping. I'm pretty content with my digital media that I can go download anytime I want or back up. If I want it on a CD, I'll just go burn it to an effing CD.
Right. So I'm not talking about for everything though.
Yeah. I get it. I'm just saying that I'd argue it's a little bit nostalgia, and it's a little bit of it's nice to actually own your product instead of just paying $10 and then having someone take it away.
It's just owning it, like that sense of ownership.
Yeah,
I don't want it for everything, but there's some things. And Jordy, as a collector, I'm sure you feel the same way. Like I want to own it. I want it to be mine. Like I don't want any. I don't want it going away.
Dude, I got stuff back here that I went on like adventures to go find and get, you know what I mean, on my little bookshelves back here. I don't do nothing with it. I just want to own it. It's mine. You know what I mean? Let me, and I won't get into the reasons, or we could save that for another podcast, you know what I mean, or another episode. But just that I get that. I want it. Yeah. It's mine. It's physically
It's just
there.
the way it makes you feel.
It's comfortable. Yes. That's what it is.
It's the same with like retro gaming. Like you don't even have to talk about anything tangible there. Like think about the way you felt when you played the original Legend of Zelda. A lot of this also ties into that. Yes, it's about having something tangible, but also, when was the first time you had that in your hand? When was the first time you put that CD in the player? You hit that play button, you listened to that whole album. How did it make you feel? You know, a lot of us listening to those things and using those things these days is tapping back into that feeling, aka nostalgia. And it's hard to argue with that. It's like very subjective how everybody feels about nostalgia.
Man,
So
I'm getting
for me.
misty-eyed.
It's the warm and
You're getting me
fuzzies.
teary-eyed over this crap.
Hey, look, I'll give us a brief. I'm gonna give us a brief track switch here, brief pause. I need to defend my honor, all right, and I need to just correct some stuff that I said earlier because Matt made a comment, and I know if Matt made a comment about it, it's possible that the listeners, the audience, may have caught it. All right, so number one, I just want to talk about Half-Life for a second. Look, I meant no disrespect. I've played the game.
No disrespect,
myself.
brother.
Okay, wait, hold on, wait. Let me defend my honor right quick. All right, I love Half-Life. All right, I've played it. I got the remakes on my computer. I've played, I got the version on VR. It's fantastic. I love that series. The point that I was trying to make earlier was that Half-Life, in a lot of aspects and to a lot of people, can be considered a godfather or the godfather of modern FPS games. And so the point that I
Yes.
was making was that if somebody grows up on Call of Duty, if they loop back later in life to play Half-Life, it won't be as special to them because they've already seen the meat grinder version of Half-Life. You know what I mean? Through the lens of the video game industry through however many years, right? It's not the same. You know what I mean? For somebody who got to play Half-Life first and then you know what I mean?
That's fair.
That's
Yeah,
what I
because
was.
they don't have those warm and fuzzies for it.
Yeah,
Maybe
they don't have the
Counter-Strike?
experiences.
The original Counter-Strike?
That's
Just saying, came
also
from the same
that's
engine.
also fair. Yes, also
All right,
fair.
all right. We're deviating. We're deviating.
Sorry,
You know,
we're off. We're off.
finish
topic.
defending your
I
honor,
appreciate
Jody.
that, Jordy.
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to. I'm not an idiot.
I feel like it's
you know?
defended. Because I'm not
Thank
an
you.
idiot, you know.
But hey, it also ties back to our conversation just a little bit about nostalgia. You know what I mean? Matt was ready to go tables, ladders, and chairs match, WWF style. Over over Half-Life, rightfully so. But
Man,
yeah.
and to that point, I very much remember going to the store with my dad and getting the original Half-Life and reading the box and reading about their
Absolutely.
next gen AI and being so excited and then getting my face whopped into the wall over and over again because of their next gen AI and being so excited about it. Point being, holding that box, getting the physical media, reading all the hype that was right there, and then opening it up and getting to go through the manual that you don't get anymore. As I was going home and then installing the game, it really was a nice experience.
Yeah.
Something you just can't get no more.
Nope. All right, so let's move forward really quick. So let's go to books. Interesting numbers here, right? So this is 2021 again, but revenue by book type. Okay, I thought this was a fair. They had a little pie chart that was super nice, and I'll link it in the show notes. But so 48.15% were hardback. Okay, 27% were paperback. 9.29 were ebook. 6.29 were audiobooks, and then there's another percentage that was other, which I wasn't. I'm kind of curious and want to go back to look at what other was, because that kind of covered. Yeah, I guess. Oh, geez.
Hold on.
Oh, no.
Less than
Sparkman.
10% was ebook.
Less than
Did you
10%
say?
was ebook.
That one's a
Wow.
little surprising, honestly. Yeah.
It's surprising, man. I cut over to my Kindle Paperwhite 2 years ago, and I haven't
Post-it
looked
notes?
back for a second. I mean, and keep in mind,
Man.
I love books, man. I love them. I'm
Yeah.
an avid reader and have been my entire life. So, I mean, man, it just I'm really surprised more people haven't cut over to the Kindles. They're so convenient.
Yeah. Oh, dude, believe me, I have a Paperwhite as well. But that being said, I own books, so I made a mission when I was when I got married that I was going to collect all of the old books that made an impact on me as a child, so that I could have them physical,
Ooh,
hard copy
nice.
for my children. And so I have those books, and I fought tooth and nail, combed, the desert and found them, and it's great. But for stuff that I don't care about, I'm 100% on the Kindle. So again, it's weird because there are certain books, just like with the video games and the CDs, when I held in the hands, and forgive me for being weird, when you smell a book, it like releases some dopamine, whatever you want, into the brain, and it's a different experience. And to see the progress instead of clicking next and going, I have X percentage left, when you see how far you've gotten in a book, you have a bookmark. Dude, I used to have a particular bookmark. It was one that I made for my dad, and I laminated it, and it was cardstock that I put together in waves. And then I signed it and gave it to him, and then later on he gave it back to me. And I actually still have that bookmark. But like seeing that bookmark move across the book till the end, and that sense of completion is just, it's so good. But I don't want 4 billion books in my house eating up space either. So it's like this weird dichotomy. But that percentage, I thought it would be way higher than 9%, for sure. Another fun fact, audiobooks have a 9-year streak of double-digit growth.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot
Really?
of sense.
That blew me away.
That doesn't, Sean.
Man.
The fact that blew you away doesn't make any sense to me. I'll tell you what.
But I mean, I listen to audiobooks every now and then, but for the most part, I prefer the actual reading. It's something like I like it when I'm driving, and I like it for books that I don't necessarily want to spend the time dedicated at home to. You know what I mean? Like they're the kind of like the gap fillers for me.
But see,
so
it's
maybe
not,
that's
it's
my own
not what
personal
you,
bias.
It's not
how
what our
many
generation
years?
grew up on. You know what I mean?
9.
As this next generation gets older,
Sure.
and they have these available to them, like readily available. Everybody's got phones, man, or tablet, or
sure.
devices. So audiobooks may be easier for kids to digest the Harry Potter series or the Twilight series. You know what I mean? That makes a lot of sense to me. I feel like.
So interestingly enough that you say that, Amazon had like 940 million in sales for Audible alone. Another statistic really quick. And it's also the most popular
Audible's
platform.
a cool system, though. I mean,
really
Audible's
is.
pretty dope, man. My understanding is you get access to quite a bit if you buy into their like monthly
Dude,
sub.
no, you don't even have to do the monthly sub. Like they'll give you free ones just for being there. And
Oh,
then
really? You get some
just for being a
hanging out
member.
stuff.
Like if you're Prime.
Cool.
And then, but you're right. The actual subscription base on top of it gives you a buttload of stuff too. So
For I know it's a little off topic, but for what it's worth, I subscribe to the Amazon's Kindle version of that as opposed to the Audible version of that. And man, it was okay. There was a lot there. There's a lot of garbage in there.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I
is.
eventually ran out of things that I found particularly appealing, but I have unique tastes, I guess. So I mean, I don't know, just kind of interesting food for thought that there's these like recurring services. Man, another reason why the ebook thing's kind of surprising, because you get these like monthly recurring revenue type models, and you get access to thousands of books. Why are people still buying hardbound? I mean, well, hardbounds I get a little bit more in softback than like paperbacks. I think hardbounds are classy, I guess. But I don't know.
They look good on your shelf.
Just interesting. Yeah, well, that's why they're classy, because they look good.
Right. So the other part of that with the books, which I wanted to touch on really quickly, is that Amazon is kind of a big deal as well. It's something we can talk about a different time. Maybe it may not be relevant, but basically Amazon controls like let's see, it's I think it's 80% of all book distribution in the U.S.
What?
Like it's like a de facto monopoly is what they were saying in the article.
Say
Barnes
what
and
you
Noble
just said one more
dead.
time. What?
So-
just say it.
Here, I have it right
By
here.
Borders.
Experts believe that Amazon is approaching de facto monopoly status in the publishing world. Amazon controls over
Crazy.
80% of all book distribution in the U.S., and many worry that the company has engaged in anti-competitive and even predatory practices that left publishers racing to the bottom. That
Oh
one,
yeah,
That makes-
color me shocked
Oh.
that that's really.
Yeah.
You think the Amazon's engaged in anti-competitive measures? I don't know if I believe that. I'm gonna need some facts first.
No,
Yeah.
man. I was just thinking about that the other day. Like the first time I remember, and I'm sure this is the same for everybody. The first time I remember hearing about Amazon was with books. Like that's all they sold.
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
2004,
that's what it was.
2005 or something like that, I think. And I was just thinking the other day, like, damn, I wonder how the book business is going for Amazon.
Strong.
I wonder.
strong.
Yeah, and strong apparently is the answer to that question.
Man,
That's
you
crazy,
think that,
man.
Like, you think some of the original players that are who I consider to be OG big boys, like Barnes Noble and Borders, would have done, I don't know, literally anything to like successfully compete, and it seems
It's
like whatever
hard,
they
man.
did just
It's
didn't.
so
I mean,
hard. You get so
I
much of
get
a
it,
markup
man.
though
You
in
go
those
to
stores.
Amazon.
So I go buy
Well, that's-
local, right? And I have to
yeah,
pay
well,
like sometimes 30% more for this book, and I'm like, I could probably find this for like $15 on Amazon rather than the however much more. You see what I'm saying? Like they have such good pricing that it's really hard to beat. I will try and go buy local as much as I can, but if I'm strapped for cash, Amazon is going to be the way, because I can either get it in ebook format or I can get it cheap. So how do you as a local store, how do you compete with that unless you just have a really great community?
Yeah, it's true.
It's tough.
Not to mention, as an inspiring writer, I've heard through the grapevine that it's super easy. If you're trying to write a book, write a novel, whatever, if you're trying to get something published, you can essentially just go straight through the Amazon chain, and their whole deal is super lucrative for that person, believe it or not, for them to kind of have like limited, exclusivity pretty much.
Yeah, they take a percentage off the top and they're good. There was actually some statistics there as well about there being more self-publishing now than there has ever been
Absolutely.
previously, and people make a decent amount of chunk of change because they can. It's way easier to do. So I don't have those statistics. I'll have to go find them. But anyway, so the last one I wanted to talk on, just to kind of keep things moving forward, is DVDs. Not much to talk about. It's not great. Let's put it that way. Not doing great for DVDs. Mostly because of streaming services. Like that's pretty much just like tanked DVDs for the most part. You still find them, you still make them. But it kind of makes sense because the fidelity that you get is close enough to the physical copy that you're not really losing much experientially, and you have a huge catalog and you don't have to store them. But
Is this including like Blu-rays and stuff too, or no?
no, it's just DVDs.
Okay, I was just making sure because I would feel like Blu-rays certainly have to be doing better than DVDs.
I didn't look up.
right?
I
Still?
didn't look up Blu-rays. I was thinking more
Like
straight
old
DVD,
school.
like the old school definition DVD.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're very far and few in between.
man,
Well, I
my
say
wife
that, but
insists on collecting them, like bookshelves full of VHS that they were gonna, I don't know,
Yeah.
like hand down or something. They eventually got rid of them like 3 years ago. My wife's doing the same thing now with the darn DVDs. I don't know what we're gonna do. I can tell you they're not gonna be here 20 years from now. We ain't handed
say
down
that, man.
DVDs to
I've
nobody,
got-
dog.
I have inherited DVDs from my parents, like that I remember watching as a kid. I have DVDs right now. I have TV shows. So like I bought my wife the full Friends collection, Office, Parks and Rec. So like, I have every single bit of DBZ, like period.
It's
but
like, who could be
I
bothered
don't want-
with putting up and putting a DVD into a DVD player though?
Okay, all right. Really quick. I was having this conversation with my grandmother on Saturday, right? We were talking about television because hers went out. She was talking about when TVs sat on the floor. They had their own legs, and they literally were like you had antenna coming out of it, and they were like the size of my fist. You know
They
what I
were
mean?
pretty much a piece of furniture.
Basically,
Yes,
they
yes,
sat on the friggin'
absolutely.
floor. They're made out of like mahogany, you know, and the
Yep.
stuff that's inside of them, if it ever got out, would kill you if you breathed it in. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just wild how far we've come. So the fact that you're like,
That's back when you
"Ow."
actually got it repaired and
Yes,
you didn't
sir.
replace it. These days, your TV breaks, you go and buy a new one. Back then, TV repairman comes to the house, fixes some stuff in the tube. He leaves, and you got your TV's like new again. So
Yeah, it's wild to me because we forget that that's not that long ago. You know what I mean? Like it's
No,
it's a while
not.
ago.
It's really
but
not.
Really not.
It's really in this scope of history, how fast our media has changed. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild
Yeah.
from going to here's a cassette tape to that's dead, and now we operate entirely on the internet, or
Yeah.
market
No
share
physical
entirely.
media. It's all
Yeah.
digital. That's
I don't even have
wild
a
to me
CD
that I
player.
can sit.
No,
Like,
that's not.
for
there's
instance,
one in the house.
so what we're doing right now, right? We would have to physically be present. There would be no way for us to do this. You know what I mean? And that's not even that long ago that we would have
Nope.
had to all be together to do this.
Like a few years, man. Tops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild.
It's wild. Yeah. We could go on. There's a whole bunch of other physical media that I left out just because, like VHS and, the singles and all that stuff. But
laser disc,
yeah. Yes, sir.
Betamax, all
Floppy
these
disks.
obscure niche physical media forms
Yeah, man. There's
that
a bunch of
barely
them.
survived like multiple, like, I don't know, a few
failed
years
businesses.
and then they were gone.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
people like, damn. Yeah. Like, yeah. Jeez. But yeah, I think it's interesting. The final thoughts for me, as far as physical media is concerned, I think for special things, I think nostalgia play really big factors in it, but certain things do have a particular shine when you have them physically. And I also like the fact that nobody can take it away from me unless they steal it physically from me. And then it can't be tampered with. That was another one that I kind of skirted in the last second, but not a big fan of tampering with stuff. And it's way, I don't know, it's way harder to do once you physically own it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my perspective. I'm curious if you guys have anything else to add to it.
No, man, just that it was this is super informative, and I'm a very analytical person, you know what I mean, like at my core, and I love useless stats that I will not be able to do anything with.
Oh, man.
It's great to see that there are or hear that there are other people like me, you know what I mean, whether it's
Yeah.
hey, and I think it's just that hey, we're kind of driven by some nostalgia to some point. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just gotta go out there, buy something, and just touch it. Just hold on to it and take care of it.
Yeah, you just
Feel
want to
real
hold
nice
it in
and
your
warm on
hands,
the
man.
inside. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's right. Alrighty. Well, fellas, that's it. Everyone, we appreciate you again listening. If you have any feedback, if you have anything that you feel like we missed, or if you want to come into Discord or drop comments on
Yeah, tell us
your favorite piece
about
of
your
nostalgia.
collectibles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us, man.
Yeah,
Let us
yeah. We'd
know.
love to hear about your collectibles. We're
You
friendly
picking up
people.
DVDs, books, tech, video game consoles? What do you got? Tell us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boy.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
See you.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Digital Ascent podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Please visit our Discord and also stop by our forums. Till next time.